Tell me what you're here about.
Well, my name is Josh Harper. I'm one of the Stop Huntington Animal Cruelty 7. We're 6 activists plus one activist group, Stop Huntington Animal Cruelty, who are indicted under federal terrorism laws. The interesting thing is, though, we didn't break anything, we didn't burn anything, we didn't beat anyone, we didn't even so much as trespass. Our crime is doing exactly what I'm doing right now, speaking. Everything in this case, every charge, every count in the indictment relates to things that we wrote, things that we said, and things that we posted on the internet. So right now, I'm facing 5 years in federal prison for talking, and 3 of my co-defendants are facing as much as 23 years in prison for running a website. I don't know if any of you here tonight have heart problems or are easily scared, but I'm actually going to recreate the act of terrorism that I am facing 3 years in prison for right now. Actually, what happened was I was standing in a classroom at the University of Washington where somebody had booked a speaking engagement. Later, I found out that the person who booked it was actually an FBI agent. And 11 people were in attendance, and so obviously I was going to be able to influence a mass of terrorists in that 11-person crowd. And what I talked about was a tactic that's been used by the animal rights movement. It's a tactic of electronic civil disobedience, where you take 3 sheets of paper and get ready, because this is the terrorism right here. You take 3 sheets of black paper, and you tape them end to end to end. And one end of those goes into a fax machine, and you dial the number of, say, any corporate exploiter that you might have in mind, or a financial institution that's supporting, animal cruelty. You dial the fax, and once it begins going through, you take the back end and you tape it to the front end, so it runs in a continuous loop. Look out, Osama bin Laden, Josh Harper's here, he's coming for your toner and paper. As comedic as it all sounds, however, the fact of the matter is that me and my friends are facing years and years in federal prison for doing nothing more than speaking about tactics like this.
Does it make you afraid to speak? I mean, facing this prison time, is it going to stop, you from saying anything?
I'm a big loudmouth. It's what I'm known for. And the one thing that this indictment has done, though, is it's made me question somewhat the value of speech. I mean, quite frankly, if you can spend 3 to 5 years in prison for talking, you might as well be out smashing windows. You might as well be out committing acts of sabotage. I think if we're indicted, and especially if some of my co-defendants get the sentence that the prosecutors are looking for, I think it's going to send a message to people everywhere that, fuck it, Why bother going out on speaking tours if you're going to do jail time? Why not go and commit the acts of sabotage that, tend to be more effective than me standing here talking to this camera?
How does the Patriot Act and all that figure into this?
The Patriot Act figures into this case in a number of ways. For one thing, it lowers judicial oversight on certain warrants, and so they're able to gain trap and trace and pin register warrants for our phones and our internet connections with essentially no judicial oversight. During the course of the Stop Huntington Animal Cruelty campaign, there is also the use of I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the name right now. Sneak and peek warrants that were used so that they could go into people's homes, trash the place, raid the place, and in the end not have to tell them why their home was trashed until a month later. So that's how Patriot Act is being used, not exactly against the Muslim extremists that the Bush administration said, but against animal rights activists.
Do you think maybe that was the plan all along? Maybe it wasn't about Muslim extremists? Maybe it was about...
Yeah, I think maybe it wasn't about Muslim extremists. I think it was about gaining ever greater and greater control. I think that right now the world is in a pretty sorry state. And in America, we've had the privilege to ignore it for an awfully long time. There's so much wealth here and so much affluence that a lot of people have had their heads in the sand. But I think that that's going to come to an end. I think that ecological catastrophe is very real. And I think that we as Americans are going to begin experiencing what the rest of the world has been experiencing for the last 20, 30, 40 years. When that happens, of course, the government doesn't want to risk a popular uprising. They don't want to risk that there will already be mechanisms in place for people to make change. They don't want to risk that there will be people already prepared to fight back against the crackdown that's sure to come once resources get scarce. And so I'd certainly say that the Patriot Act, the Animal Enterprise Terrorism Act, all the other recent anti-terrorist legislation we've seen has meant more to control the civilian population of the United States than to attack Muslim extremism.